Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey guys.
And welcome back to Connect Time with Wayne and Trish. I'm Wayne and this is Trish.
Hey.
And we are having some Connect Time on the couch, talking about real, relevant, current topics that we're facing. And at the moment we're focusing on marriage. And today's topic is dealing with friction in marriage. Yeah, friction. Okay. So there's an email on your screen, and if you want to mail us, you are more than welcome to, with any sort of questions or suggestions or anything that you would like us to tackle on this couch.
Yeah, and thank you for all the positive encouragement we got from the last week's vlog.
Yeah, we really appreciate that as well. So today, big topic. Dealing
Wayne.
with friction in marriage.
You know, you speak to people who are engaged or courting and they don't even think friction's going to come their way.
Yeah, they don't.
And you speak to people who've been married for a number of years.
And it seems to be the only thing they talk about is friction in marriage. So if you have got friction in your marriage, if there are some sparks that are flying, this session is for you.
Indeed.
All right? Let's get stuck into it.
Yeah.
So what we've noticed in all our years of marriage counseling and premarital counseling as well, something that we normally come away with after being with couples is that, and we say this, is that we notice that it seems like opposites, God puts opposites together.
They're so different. How did they end up together?
It's amazing. Yeah, like you will often see how God puts these opposite personality types together. Too often that it just seems like we're always saying that they're like so different.
There's an introvert and an extrovert,
or you have someone who's bubbly and outgoing, and someone who's more of like a thinker, planned kind of person.
Or there's friction in a relationship because he's really spontaneous and she likes to be more pre-planned. And
that sounds like us. You're talking about us, hey? Anyway, so there are these, and we have this phrase in life that says that opposites attract.
But is it really true that opposites attract?
Well, actually, the research shows that it's not true.
Okay.
So there was this amazing study, and I enjoy these studies of these psychology studies, and there was these guys who did a study of marriages, and they wanted to answer the question, do opposites really attract?
Sure.
And there was this guy called Robert Winch, and he did a study amongst a whole number of different couples, and his findings were this, and this was like the same around the world as well. His findings were this, is that it's not opposites that attract.
Okay.
In fact, opposites repel.
Sure.
In fact, so it's not opposites that actually bring people together. He said what brings people together, get this, is complementary traits. Okay, so and I love that phrase. He said it's traits that are complementary that bring people together.
So it's like there's differences, but when they come together, they create something really awesome.
Yes. So the word complementary means different, but they go well together.
Kind of like cheese and tomato.
Very good one. I can't do without my cheese and tomatoes arms.
Or feta and cucumber.
Or pap and vlees.
Or salad with meat.
Okay.
Peanut butter and jam.
That's a better one. Salad and meat. I don't think any guy out there is going to connect with that one. But anyway, okay.
What's what you got for dinner? Salad and meat.
The point is this: is that in food there are
complementary.
Salt and pepper. They're very different.
Sure.
But when you put them together, there's something great that comes out of it. Now, what I love about the research is that it's showing that the Bible is it's showing what the Bible's been saying for many years. So in Genesis, it says that it's not good. God said it's not good that man should be alone. I will make him, in Genesis 2:18, it says, I will make him a helper comparable to him.
Yeah.
That word helper is the word ezer in the Hebrew. And ezer means, it's used actually of God many times.
Sure.
It's used about 30 times in the Old Testament. Most of the times it's used is in connection with God. Like God is my help. All right, he's my ezer.
Right.
And it's basically saying that I will make man a strength, an aid, someone who can empower him.
Come alongside him.
But that is comparable to him.
Right.
And the word comparable means equal to, but different. Or complementary.
Sure.
Okay, so equal. So this is what marriage really is. It's beautiful. So God looked at Adam and he saw his need, and he didn't say, let me just make another person just like him,
Yeah.
with all his strengths, with his personality
Sure.
type, with his cheese and tomatoes arms. He brought someone with pap and salad
Yeah.
along. That
Complement.
to complement.
Sure.
Okay, so he didn't just make another Adam with all those Adam strengths. He brought an Eve
Yeah.
that is a strength, an assistant, an empowerer,
Sure.
but that is different.
Yeah.
That is different.
Yeah.
So God does this. God is actually the one who brings people who
together.
are different
That's
together.
so good. And I think the NLT also words it really well when it says
Yeah.
that I'll make him a helper who's just right for him.
Yeah, I
you
love
know?
that.
And
Yeah.
sometimes what's just right for you is not what you think
It's
you
not
need.
exactly what you want.
Yeah. Because
Yeah. So anyway, but this can be the cause of a lot of friction in
Friction.
marriage. And often we don't see this when we're going through the
falling in
premarital,
love
the falling in
and-
love. All we see are the things we love about
what you
each
enjoy
other.
doing
And we
together.
both enjoy these movies, and we
Yeah.
both love this, and we both love
you
that.
don't really notice that they,
What? Don't
leave
say it.
things lying around all the time. Because you just pick them up and you're like, oh, it's so sweet how they just leave their things on the floor.
Okay, you can see some of our differences. Yeah, but after marriage, like once you
That's
get
when you
married,
see
it
it.
seems like that's all you see.
Yeah.
When all you could see was the similarities
Sure.
and the things that brought you together after
Right.
marriage, now it's these differences that are really
And
start
they
to rub you the wrong
Rub
way.
you the wrong way, and that's the friction
That
that we're
is the
talking
friction,
about.
yeah.
And you know what? We've really seen this in our marriage a lot.
Totally,
You
yeah.
know, to be honest,
Yeah, we'll confess right here, guys, just to make you
there's
feel
been
at
a lot
ease.
of friction.
We've had a lot of friction in our
Yeah,
marriage.
and we're both strong personalities, so
Yeah.
it's not like one is going to just be dominant and the other one just shy away from any form of
Yeah.
altercation. But I mean, like you're such a visionary, and you always got these incredible creative ideas, and I'm really detailed, and so like it's overwhelming what it was until I learned how to embrace it. But overwhelming how you just have all this vision and all these
More,
creative ideas
bigger.
and take more ground and do
Yeah.
more things. And I'm like running around trying to like, how do we do that and dot the I's and cross the T's, and it became a place of frustration and
Yeah.
friction.
No.
And I think another good one is like, sometimes the detailed nature, like I would run the finances, or I would pay attention to things around the home, and manage.
And that used to like frustrate me that you weren't on the same page, that you were so detail orientated, and and that was often we were just on different pages. I'm
Yeah.
wanting to like go and do this, and you're wanting to like take care and manage what we have.
Yeah, and you want to take more ground, and
Yeah.
and I mean, how many times when we would have in the early days with staff meetings,
Wow.
how we would disagree
Yeah.
on matters pertaining to how things were being done, or
Yeah, so if you don't
decisions
know
that had
us,
to be
like
made.
we actually work together as well. So we would go into, we'd live together, we'd do home together, and then we'd go and do work together, okay, which we still do. And we'd have a whole lot of staff, and we'd have meetings.
We'd discuss something, and we'd be like, no, I don't agree with what you're saying on that.
We
or
would
why not?
disagree, yeah.
And we actually had staff members come to us and say, look, this is really awkward. It's making us feel really uncomfortable. It's like mom and dad are fighting in front of the children. And we had to realize that this friction in public was not really helpful for some people. So we'd have meetings before the meetings just to try and iron out some things.
So actually we did that.
But we did have issues of friction that we had to work through. And I think that they're good, because iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
And that's another scripture, and you'll find it in Proverbs 27:17. And I really like the way the Amplified puts it. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens and influences another through discussion.
Through discussion.
Through
I love
discussion.
that.
And I think we've really seen that, how the iron sharpening iron, the friction moments, have really caused us to embrace that it's actually better that we're doing this together.
I mean, you've actually got so much more visionary, over the years. I've become a lot more detailed.
You remember to take the milk out the freezer.
I was going to say, I remember to pick up stuff off the floor, because you raised that earlier. But anyway,
that one as well.
But now we're talking about the milk,
I can mention a few more.
But that is it, which is incredible, because you know, I was more the visionary type.
Yeah.
And if you just look at our last, like we've just moved home, and largely that whole move, and it's been a real step of faith for us, has been driven by you.
Yeah.
Like you're
which is
like,
not my natural
which is not you at
inclination
all. Every other move before this has been like me. I'm like, we're going, we're moving, I found something, we're gonna
Sure.
sell, we're gonna buy, it's all gonna work out, you know. And you're like, what? And this time has almost been reversed. It's like you've been the main like visionary driver in like moving us to this new home, which has been a great move, by the way. Let me just say that on camera for the record.
Thank you for the record.
But I've sharpened you in some way, and you've matured me and sharpened me in some way. And I think that scripture, what you're saying there, what was it again in Proverbs 20?
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. Like if you have two elements, okay, by itself it's going to get blunt.
Sure.
All right. But if you take two elements together, two irons, and you begin to have a little bit of friction, sparks are going to fly. Both will eventually get sharper. And this is how we have to view our marriages.
That's it.
Is that we are iron sharp. Our differences are there
to make us better.
To make us each better.
Yeah.
So that like I'm learning from you and growing in your strengths, what you're strong at, and vice versa. And that is a good healthy marriage at the end of the day. That's what we want to go after, guys. And this is what we want to encourage you to see your friction moments as. Think of it as iron sharpening iron.
And it's not going to be comfortable, but the outcome is going to be that much better.
Absolutely.
So a couple of things that we can do when we're coping with both low and high level conflict. Firstly, know thyself. I think that's really powerful. Like, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, realize that your strengths are great, but you are also a limited human being, and
you have weaknesses.
You have weaknesses.
It takes a while for some of us guys to accept that. Like, we are not as strong in everything.
Sure, and for people like me who have issues with pride, like it's hard to learn.
You just confessed you have issues with pride. That's
not
amazing.
Anymore, because
I've got that on record
you've sharpened me out of that. But it's really good to have a sober assessment of yourself, because that then helps you to deal with iron sharpening iron moments with I think a more teachable manner.
Humble.
Yeah.
So the point is, like, the first thing you're saying is know thyself and know your spouse at the same thing. Because when you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, then when you come to these friction moments, you're going to be a little bit more humble.
Yeah, you can ask the question, is this here to help me change? Help me get a bit sharper? You know, instead of just attacking the person.
So I've got a good quote on that. It's from Sun Tzu. All right, the Chinese philosopher who wrote the book Art of War, and he said this. He said, "Know thyself and know thy enemy, and in 100 battles you will be victorious."
Okay, but we're gonna have to change that from know thy enemy to know thy spouse, because your spouse is not your enemy.
Exactly.
Sometimes they feel like your enemy. They are not your enemy. But knowing them, you're gonna overcome battles.
So know yourself, and if you know your spouse, in 100 battles of finances, in-laws, moving, staying,
children,
kids, schooling,
work,
dinner, who's cooking dinner, who does what in the house. In 100 battles, you will be victorious just because you're a little bit smarter about how you wired and how they wired.
So good.
So good.
Very good. I love that.
Secondly, all right, the second one we want to give you is, once you know your strengths, play to the strengths.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So this is just advice we want to give you guys, is that once you know what you're both strong at, build your marriage around each other's strengths.
Yeah.
And this idea comes from the course Strengths Finder. We did this a number of years ago, and the whole philosophy is, rather than focusing on your weaknesses, rather focus on your strengths. And a good team is a team where we play to each other's strengths.
Totally.
So, I mean, if somebody is strong at dunking the ball, put them in the front. You know, if somebody's good at blocking the ball, put them in the goalie. You know, like play to strengths. And most teams are built like that. We don't put someone who's weak on the wing on the wing.
Yeah.
You know, and we've got to start thinking of marriage as a team operation.
Totally.
And so often when we're counseling people, especially premarital, and they're asking us like, and we ask the question, so who's going to do the finances? It's typically the guy who goes, oh, I'm a man, I need to do the finances.
And she's actually an accountant.
And we ask the question, well, who's strong at that?
Yeah.
Because a good marriage is one where you divide the tasks according to strengths,
Yes.
and you play and you defer and you submit to each other's strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
really good. I think we've also done that in our marriage, and it's been really helpful to break out of the mold of, oh, well, you're the guy, you got to do that. I'm the woman.
You've
you're
gotta do
far
that.
better at cooking, you know?
Well, back in the day, but I've
Yeah.
sharpened you. You cook really well now.
Dang it, I thought I was going to get out of cooking.
So that was
Okay.
an old battle.
Yeah. So, you know, I think those are really two really good points.
Yeah.
And I think what we just want to emphasize is that what do you do when you have friction? You
Yeah.
know? What do you do?
What is the modus
What
operandi?
what are
Yeah.
your go-to? I think you got to find what is the middle ground. What is the healthy tension? If the friction is like an elastic being pulled between two parties, what is the actual middle path?
Very good,
Because
yeah.
that's often, like, we've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been, oh, I've just got to follow your lead.
Yeah.
It's been about, actually, there's a bit of a middle ground if we're not seeing eye to eye on something. And
We've experienced that a lot.
We have.
So like you're strong about something, I'm strong about something.
and
there's
the answer is
friction.
actually, the God thing is the middle.
Is the middle, and we
Yeah.
were both wrong, and well, not wrong,
Yeah,
but we
but
had to
Find the middle space.
And I've experienced that in teams, like at work, where you'll find there's clashes, or should we do this or shouldn't we do that? And when a team doesn't shy away from the conflict
Yeah.
and just go, oh, I disagree, but we'll just do it anyway because
Yeah.
that's what they said.
Yeah.
But when
And
we
you have
engage,
and have healthy discussion.
yeah, when you have that healthy discussion on a team setting,
Yeah.
the outcome is typically not where the initial person wanted to go. It's actually something much better.
Better.
The outcome is somebody's thought about something that person didn't think
think
about,
about.
and the end result is always better
Yeah.
than if one person was just pushing this way and everybody else followed.
Yeah. And it really does. It takes wise, gentle humility to actually
To have
get
those
to that middle
conversations,
ground.
'cause-
Because your pride
yeah.
gets a bit nailed because you feel so strongly in your point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that's when it comes to that healthy discussion to
Yeah.
see that come to pass. But I also think that if there is conflict and friction that is really causing too many sparks,
Yeah.
it's important to get another person in, an objective
Sure.
point of view, someone who can just help you see what the other person is saying. Because sometimes, like, you can be hearing the same words through the same person and you don't hear it, but another
Yeah.
person says exactly the same thing, but coming out of their mouth, you now get it.
Yeah, we've experienced that,
We've
yeah.
definitely found that bringing somebody else in
Somebody
the
in,
mix
yeah.
has helped us to see and understand and find each other in the midst of friction.
Guys, we want to encourage you to do that. If you're having things that you just feel like you can't even raise these topics anymore because
Sure.
there's just too much friction, bring in somebody. Find a friend or another couple and bring them
Yeah.
in. I remember when we sat down with a good friend and we
Yeah.
were like, please help us find each other.
Yeah.
It was like a moment in our marriage.
Yeah.
And they didn't really do much other than just reflect
Facilitate,
and
like-
facilitate. They didn't give any wise counsel. They just created an environment where we could
hear each other.
where we could hear. And we came out of that saying we're now Team Sandeman.
Team Sandeman.
Boom. Yeah. So like, and then that's become a phrase in our language.
Yeah.
We're Team Sandeman. We're
Yeah.
a team. We're working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Playing to each other's strengths.
Playing to each other's strengths.
Awesome.
Cool.
So
Awesome. I
also
think
just
that's
want to encourage you, last encouragement before we go, and that is this, is that don't shy away from conflict in your marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
I just really feel like we need to emphasize this, that there are some spouses who are watching this who just say, I'll just keep quiet because it's just easier, and I'll just go with him, or I'll just
Sure.
go with whatever she says because
She's the dominant personality.
yeah, because there's
or
that dominant
he's-
personality, and listen, that's not a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
That builds up resentment and bitterness and
The-
hurts, and well, I knew it was going to fail anyway.
Yeah.
It's not team.
It's not team. And there's actually a beautiful scripture in Proverbs 27, verse 6. It says, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy.
Wow,
And-
say that again.
Okay, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy.
Wow.
And there's a number of times where
That is
I've
so
felt
good.
wounded by conversations we've had or things we've
Yeah.
had to go, or you felt wounded, but they're far better to
Then-
actually
yeah.
like embrace them and talk through them and discuss them and grapple with that kind of stuff and embrace care fronting, because you care enough about the relationship to address the issue as opposed to just,
So
fly under the radar.
Shy away from conflict, guys. It's actually there. Think of it as iron sharpening iron. That at the end of it, both of you are going to get better through it. Final encouragement to you is this: remember, when you got into marriage, it wasn't opposites that were attracting, but it was complementary traits. And there are so many great things that drew you to your spouse when you got married.
Yeah,
so
focus
many things,
on those.
Yeah, remember those, because don't just think about the differences now. Whenever you think about your spouse, they're just messy, or they're just stubborn, or they're just lazy, or they're just whatever. Don't think about all the good that is there, and keep that in your marriage and cultivate that and celebrate that as you go through marriage. So I hope this has helped you deal with some of the friction that arises in marriage. Remember, it's not always a bad thing.
Don't be afraid of friction.
Yeah. You're welcome to email us at the email on your screen, and we'd love to have any questions or comments that you guys have for us. But otherwise, we'll see you in our next session for Connect Time.